Boys and girls, I saw this video on Twitter the other day and I thought it was worth talking about. So essentially there's this old man, this patient in hospital. He has COVID and his family, well I assume they're his family, break in. Well, they don't break in, but they rush in there and they try and save him from the evil doctor, government. I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to do, but they want him out of there. Now, as I said, I assume this old man is family. I assume he's a relative, but I'm not entirely sure. There's not much context that's given. I think one woman says she's the next of kin, but you know that could mean anything these days. The video starts in the midst of battle. It's all a bit hectic. It's like filming was just an afterthought for them. There's a lot of commotion going on. It's just chaotic, really. So let's watch it and see kind of what all the fuss is about.
So, if you want to have a quick conversation, I can just quickly debrief you and tell you what the current issue is and what the problem is here. Since being moved from AMU, none of the family have been consulted with what's his medical condition. Yesterday he went off the radar. The hospital have been lying to all the family.
What are you doing with him? My main concern is his safety, and at the moment, you are making him unsafe.
Right,
He's taking his oxygen off. He's going to die if we don't put it back on.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Can I just say something?
I know that there's a lot going on and there's a lot to take in, but fortunately for us, the protagonist does a great job of explaining the situation. Now, obviously, being the smartest person in the room, it's important that our hero gives the doctor a quick debrief of to what's happening. I like how he used the word debrief, like it's some, secret mission. But he explains the doctor the situation, which, I'm thankful for because us peasants just don't have the brain capacity to understand what's going on. At one point, he did say something about the old man being off the radar. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I think he's alluding to the fact that he lives in a submarine. Maybe there's a lake nearby that he's kind of been hiding out in, monitoring the hospital. Either way, it sounds like a pretty top secret mission, so I can understand why it's on a need-to-know basis for us civilians. And then they go on to argue about whether this patient's going to die or not. Even the guy in the bed, whilst he's struggling to breathe, manages to participate. I never thought I'd see the day where a doctor literally just says to someone straight, "You're going to die," and they just turn around and say, "No, I'm not," with so much confidence. It's like he's seen the future, like he had a That's So Raven vision, and he just knows much more than the rest of us.
It is against the law. You put yourself all at risk, okay? We need to step outside. If you go home,
We need
if you go home, you will die. He has coronavirus pneumonia affecting both of his lungs. He's on steroids called dexamethasone. He's on antibiotics to treat concurrent bacterial infection. Okay?
Right.
That's the treatment he's on.
And that's it.
To my knowledge, if we get his drug chart, I can tell you what he's on.
Right, okay. I emailed into the hospital about saying that the family wasn't happy with the steroids and the antibiotics and they'd be able to replace it with vitamin C, vitamin D and zinc. Plus there was another one, I forget what the lawyer told me earlier.
None of those are proven treatments for coronavirus. However, antibiotics and steroids are.
Now, this man has clearly done his research. I don't know what's on that bit of paper that he keeps waving around, but if I had to put money on it, I'd guess that it's something like screenshots from his favourite Facebook group, probably called something like Anti-Maskers Against Parliament. He's probably just got a load of messages from everyone who's kind of made up their own conspiracy theories of how COVID was invented by the government to control the public, something like that. Yeah, just typical Facebook misinformation that gets kind of circulated on a daily basis and just ends up brainwashing people like this. And it's funny because these are the exact people that preach about thinking for yourself and not being sheep to the government, but yet they turn down advice from registered medical practitioners who have been studying stuff like this for their entire lives and instead decide to agree with random unknown sources on Facebook who are just spouting absolute nonsense.
I'm here to assist him. I'm here for his benefit, not for yours.
So we're not going to have this conversation very long.
You're putting this whole ward at risk while you're in it.
You are.
What, me personally?
Yes.
Why is that? Why me personally?
Listen, can I just say something, please? I am his next of kin.
Right. Now, sorry, Doctor. Now, if he's going to leave, now, obviously, they've got oxygen indoors.
It'll last about half an hour before he dies.
What? Oxygen?
I'm not giving him oxygen to go home.
No, what I'm saying
we've
is,
got
what I'm saying to you is we've got oxygen at home.
Not this much.
Coronavirus, or can you say corona? Can you define coronavirus?
SARS-CoV.
SARS-CoV-2.
2019.
Yeah, that hasn't been proven to exist. It was declassified as it was declassified on March 19th, 2020. It's no longer highly contagious infectious disease.
Okay, this bit gets me. Can you define coronavirus? If you ever hear someone say that in real life, just walk away from the conversation. You have nothing to gain from that conversation. Nothing they can say can add value to you. You can tell that this guy had that line planned as well. He probably thought that as soon as he said it, that time would just stop around him. The doctor would just fall down onto his knees and burst into tears, and then the whole family would just walk out of the hospital carrying massive containers of oxygen. And just as they exit the doors, it's all slow motion and the hospital explodes behind them and they walk out as heroes, and everyone around the country is praising them for defeating and exposing COVID as a massive scam. But no, that doesn't happen, and the doctor actually plays a reverse Uno card and actually gives a definition. This in turn causes the guy to panic. He starts mumbling and fumbling over himself. He's stuttering as he tries to recite this nonsensical speech. Whatever is in this speech gave him the false sense of confidence to kind of make this situation happen in the first place. I would have really loved to hear the end of it, but he just doesn't get anywhere, and he's kind of embarrassing himself, to be honest.
I'm not going to continue having this
I'm
conversation.
trying to understand what
I'm
you're
not going to
treatment.
continue having this conversation.
I need to understand what your plans
You're
for
going to be
treatment are.
removed by the security guard now, okay?
Get off, mate. Or what?
Listen,
Or
just
what?
get off him, please.
That's a legal paper. That's my son.
I need that paper.
So finally, the doctor has enough and stops entertaining these people. It's always a satisfying ending when the disruptors are removed by security. I don't know how or why they thought this was going to end any differently other than them being removed. But you have to give credit where credit's due. They tried their best. But jokes aside, this doctor did an absolutely amazing job at keeping the situation calm and civil. It could have turned really nasty at some points, but he managed to keep polite and well-mannered and diffuse the situation really professionally. So props to that guy. And yeah, that's it. See you next time.